my name is Victoria, but I go by Vicky. I have a 16-year-old son who has Asperger's. And for us, when he was younger, I wish that I had had a powder mark. It was my husband and I trying to figure out how to get him a haircut. And the only way that we could do that was to go to Cool Cuts and see Miss Vivian. And he would sit in the chair that was shaped like a fire truck.
So he had a guy. You were telling us you have a girl that does your nails, and he had a guy.
Yes, he did. And it was a specific person, and he had to sit in that, little chair, and he had to watch Tom and Jerry.
Okay.
Valid.
So,
yeah,
watching Tom and Jerry, that's the only way that he could get his haircuts. But it took a long time for us to figure that out. It was a lot of crying. It was a lot of screaming. It was my husband who we almost got a divorce over this because during his nap, he got his clippers and clipped his hair.
We hear that a lot.
And all the curls off, which was devastating for me as a mom, right? Because I loved my baby's little curls, and then they never come back the same way that they did. So for me, I wish that we had had a practice specialist when he was little. My husband and I did it on our own. We figured it out on our own.
That's awesome.
And it took us a long time.
Yeah.
But we did it. And so I'm just excited that now I'm a part of something so great that can help other parents like me.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the end, I'm just Cruz's mom.
Yep.
And when I take my son to get a haircut, I just want to be Cruz's mom. And so if there are other families out there that feel like I do, and to have somebody say, we can help you with this, it's not because it was so traumatic for us every time we had to go.
Oh, yeah, of course. For
get
everybody.
A haircut, right? Something that we, like myself as a woman, enjoy, going into the salon and getting that special care. But for him, it was just so traumatic. As we would drive up to Cool Cuts, he already knew. And it was just a process for us to get him into the door and then the routine. So.
Even after he got into his routine, or after he got into his routine, he was a little bit more...
After he got into the routine, he was a lot better. And now he's 16, so it's different. Now it's like, Mom, I need the fade, I need the this, I need the that. But to get to where we're at, it was years. It was years. So...
But you got to work out that formula that works for you.
You got to work out that formula that works for you. And how awesome that you have Practice Without Pressure that gives you that formula, right?
Yeah.
That
you
helps
can
you.
personalize and you can make work for yourself.
Exactly. So that's why I'm excited to be a part of this. I want to be able that other parents and other moms like me, they can just go into the salon and I'm Cruz's mom. I'm here to give him a haircut. Without getting the looks, because we used to get the looks. They'd see him walk in the door, and I could see them talking to each other. Oh, there comes that kid.
That little whisper to the side that you see, or anything. Yep.
So,
well, and you feel it, and they pick up on it.
Oh, absolutely.
And mom's uncomfortable. Why is mom? And is it me?
Right.
And I think that's I have ADHD, and like in school. The school would call, and it was always it's a breath thing where it's holding your breath and sighing at the same time somehow, where it's just what did he do now,
right?
And it's like and that feeling of like I'm a burden, everybody hates, and we make it as bad as it could be in our brains, but I'm not normal and it hurts my mom. My mom wishes I was normal, right? And that it's so having solutions to where those conflict moments, those oh no moments don't happen.
Right.
That lifts. We talk about getting the task completed. We talk about completing a blood draw, getting to the finish line of a thing, but not having the stigma and the reaction that goes so far for them.
Right.
And for the parent, but
for the parent,
but just not having that, oh Lord, he's coming. Yeah, it's huge.
And so I think the other thing is the misconception, and I love that you shared that, the misconception that, and I got this a lot, he's spoiled, and you're giving in to him. He's throwing a tantrum. You're just giving in to him. And trying to explain, no, it's a genuine fear. He has a genuine fear.
Yep. His body is physically responding.
Right. He's shaking. He's trembling in the little chair. It's not because he's spoiled. It's not because he's just, going to throw a tantrum and mom will give in. It's not that. It's a physical fear.
Yeah.
It's a physical symptom.
Yeah.
And I think it took a lot for us to have to go in there to Cool Cuts and tell them, no, this is not, he's not spoiled. He's not throwing a tantrum. This is a genuine fear that he has. Once again, we got lucky. We met Vivian.
Yeah, and some people don't find their Cool Cuts, you know,
Right.
and
They're
that's
Vivian,
right. And I love as a side effect of all of these families coming together with Power to Mark is that these conversations happen where, hey, this worked for us, and not only do we have, you know, Practice Without Pressure itself and the role play and everything that goes along with that, but also, hey, I tried this and it worked. Oh, well, I tried this and it worked. And maybe those two, you know, moms can be this mastermind group and come up with solutions that every expert and doctor and, you know, because it's moms on the front line.
Yeah,
you know?
Moms, caregivers, we wouldn't be here without the creativity and the dedication of people like you. You know, that's everything of what we are. And so it's really important that we hear from you and people like you and be able to share our stories together, because it's a really great way of coming together. It's a community. And being able to talk about this and be open about it is the first step to being able to solve the problem.
Absolutely.
I agree with you 100%. It's empowering each other, right? It's like you said, being a community. When I've been in this field working with individuals with disabilities for 22 years. And so as a mother of an individual with disability, I was able to tell other moms, hey, it's okay. Like you said, it's okay.
And it's amazing.
Try this or
what
go there.
Impact
Or
just saying that will have. Because so many people, they're just waiting for someone to tell them it's okay. Or let's
I went through
try
the same
something
thing.
different. Exactly. It's easy to feel alone in that sort of scenario, and that you're the only one in the world, but you're not.
When you have your mom, you have your sister, you have your brother, and they probably don't have a child with disabilities. And so in your immediate circle or your closest friends, the people that you see all the time, they probably don't have that experience. And so I think it's really easy to forget that you're not alone, that there are, you know, caregivers out there, families out there that are dealing with what you're dealing with. And so kind of having that, you know, being told that it's okay to be going through and feeling the way that you feel, and you're not alone, and there are people out there that understand that as a byproduct of bringing these people together, I think is as valuable as the product itself, because you know, and then as people are going through Practice Without Pressure, learning solutions, you know, and building up their toolkit, they may learn, hey, I while doing this, we tried this and this helped, and then they contribute to the ever-growing, you know, Practice Without Pressure will never be done.
Our repertoire is always expanding.
Yeah, it's a living, breathing toolkit. And that doesn't mean it's a magic bullet. It means that there's good days and bad days. But you know, the more we work together and the more we talk about it, the stronger that toolkit gets.
Absolutely.
What changes have you seen in the lives of individuals with disabilities, their families, or their caregivers, thanks to Practice Without Pressure?
Practice Without Pressure has made a big impact on a lot of the families that I used to work with. That were members of the MAC.
Yeah.
So I got to see that firsthand. So I'm lucky that I got to see that firsthand, working at the MAC, and then coming to work with Power to Mark has just been amazing to see the background of how that was all,
Right.
the toolbox, like you said, put all together. But at the MAC, they have a Morgan's Hair Salon, going back to haircuts, and there was a family that we worked with that drove in from Austin to get haircuts. And the only way that this young man, because he was a young man, was able to get these haircuts was because of practice without pressure and his practice specialist at the MAC. So his family would take a day off, and they would all get into their little SUV, what do they call it? Minivans?
Little caravan together,
caravan,
yeah.
and they would all drive from Austin to San Antonio to get haircuts. And that was just so impactful to think this was a whole family that got together to celebrate that this young man was able to get a haircut for the first time, and made the commitment to say, we're going as a family, we are driving to
Over
San
an
Antonio.
hour, yeah.
Over an
Yeah.
hour,
Yeah.
as a family for something.
Taking the day off, like you
taking the
said,
day
like
off.
that's huge.
It was
That's
very
huge.
impactful for this family.
That's awesome.
So I got to see that firsthand.
Looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of Power to Mark now that the initiative is gaining momentum?
I can't wait to see it just continue to grow and serve more families. There's the need, it's there. And I think that now that we are getting our toolkits together and we have more supporting staff, just wonderful individuals that are joining Power to Mark, we're just going to take this and we're just going to continue to grow, and we are going to continue to provide so much support to other families.
If you could offer one piece of advice to a parent or caregiver struggling with daily tasks for a loved one with disabilities, what would you share?
If I could give any advice to families of individuals with disabilities that are struggling with their daily tasks, any daily activities, I would tell them not to give up. There are supports out there. There are other families like yours. We do have a community at Power to Mark where you can reach out to any of us at any time, and we can provide you with those tools. It doesn't have to be a struggle. There are solutions. There is support.
What has been the most surprising or unexpected impact of Practice Without Pressure in the past year?
An unexpected impact of PWP that I have seen is just empowerment to families, just letting them know that there's support, that they don't have to struggle alone, that we are a community. I love that we have our family caregiver series now. I feel like we're going to be able to reach a bigger population.
For sure.
And I think that families and other caregivers are going to be excited about it.
I love it.
Can you share a specific moment or story that exemplifies how Practice Without Pressure has transformed someone's life?
Okay, here is a great story that I forgot about.
Let's hear it.
So there's a young woman that, as you know, when women go to their wellness checks,
Yep.
and for men as well,
Yep.
it can be very traumatic,
Yep. Very invasive.
very invasive. And so a young woman shared a story with me about never being able to go on those visits independently, especially without her mom, because of the fear. So Practice Without Pressure put together a women's wellness clinic.
Yep.
And so this young lady went to the clinic. She asked lots of questions. They
Love
had
it.
lots of tools,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
there.
finally having that safe space where it's yeah.
She was able to ask as many questions as she wanted. And not only did she do that in the women's health class, she later went to her OB-GYN
Yes. I love
and
that.
scheduled a consultative appointment just to ask more questions.
Yes. Advocating for herself.
She advocated for herself because she was empowered to be able to do so through the women's health clinic.
Oh, I have chills from that. That's
Yes.
awesome.
And so she went up to see her OB-GYN and had her list of questions because the Practice Without Pressure specialist said you can ask as many questions as you want. You don't have to go in there and have the examination the first day. Take your time, ask the questions, and then schedule a follow-up. And she did that. So she went independently to her women's wellness check. Her mother then later told us how impactful that was for them as a family, because they now could see that she could do this on her own. She could advocate for herself. She could use her own voice.
That's
love
awesome.
that.
And so that was really, really impactful, not only for the young woman, but for the family as a whole, that then said, I don't have to worry about her anymore.
That's awesome.
Because this is a yearly thing.
I gotta say, that was one of the hardest things that I have learned through Power to Mark and Practice Without Pressure, is the fact that women, for their gynecological exams, were being held down for gynecological exams. That's just, it gave me chills in the worst kind of way when I found that out. And so knowing that that was her experience, and that she'll never experience something like being held down for something like that, is just, I want to cry. And that's that. Thank you for sharing that. That really means a lot to me, for sure.
Well, it meant a lot to her. It really did make her feel just validated and stronger, empowered, and then her family not having to worry about that either. It was just a proud moment.
We hold those questions in, and it becomes almost like a physical anxiety where you every now and then I'll post it. I don't know who needs to hear this, but exhale.
Yeah.
Because we just hold it all in, right? And so the invitation, permission that we always had, but we didn't. I'm like getting goosebumps just talking about it. But that you were always allowed to ask your doctor these things, but you didn't feel comfortable doing it.
Well, and so many people, doctors are so busy. The healthcare system is so flooded with people.
I don't need to bother them with my problem.
Well, exactly. And it's you're paying. They're being paid to be there. You are paying for that appointment. It's their time is dedicated to you, but you still feel like, in a way, you're wasting their time if you don't speed things along so that they can get to the next person. And it shouldn't be how it is, but I understand it from both.
And they're happy to answer the questions.
Individual's perspective and the doctor's perspective. They usually are. They're glad to answer the questions, and so it's definitely something that we really get in our heads about, and it's hard to kind of get over that initial, I don't want to be annoying or pushy or anything like that. But I love it. She had a list of questions, she took a whole appointment to just get those answered.
And I think what else I loved about her going to those Practice Without Pressure women's health clinics, they helped her figure out the right questions to ask.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Because think about it as a young woman. What if you're not sure what this visit is going to be like, this appointment? How do you even know what are the questions you should be asking?
Right.
So they actually taught her
That's awesome.
and helped her come up with, okay, what have you been worried about? Okay, let's write that down. And what else? Just helped her compile those questions that were important to her before
That's awesome.
she agreed to.
That invitation to speak, it's one of my favorite quotes. It was actually Van Jones had said that everybody wants to be a powerful speaker like Dr. King, but the key to coalition building is to invite the other person to speak. I probably have said that 3 times on 3 episodes of the podcast now. I just love this quote. But it's inviting the other person to speak from a position that they didn't know they could speak from before. And what you kind of scrape out of their soul in doing so, when they finally kind of let it out, it changes them. And I think they come out taller because they don't keep it inside. They keep it outside. And it inviting them to speak and share. And especially when we're talking about like reproductive health matters, that there's such a stigma and a kind of keep it to yourself, whatever. And so like kind of getting that stuff off your chest, I love it.
Really important.
Has Practice Without Pressure changed the way medical professionals or caregivers approach their work?
I think it is important to find that the physician, the dentist, whoever you feel comfortable with. So for us, my son on the spectrum For him, going to the doctor was just so difficult. The exam, not knowing what questions to ask. So we found this amazing, amazing physician who we've been lucky to follow. And Cruz is a type that he says, Doctor, I need to see my medical chart because I need to know what my future is going to look like. Am I going to...
I feel that, though. I want to see all the notes.
No, girl,
I want to
listen
see,
to this. Why am I so hairy?
Yeah.
Am I going to keep growing so much hair?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a valid question.
I call him a little Yeti. He does look like a little Yeti.
I can relate. Yeah.
He has the little stash. I call it the porn stash. You can edit that out. The
We will
little
not.
porn stash. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And he's
yeah.
16.
I was going to say
girl,
16 years
it
old.
Is like,
That's, it's...
So he's concerned. And when we take him to his
Your body's changing.
doctor, I tell him, this is you. This is your body. You ask the questions. I'm going to sit here because, of course, I'm mom and you're a minor and I need to be in the room. But you can ask him whatever you want.
Yeah.
So the last time we went, besides asking about the hair and, how tall he's going to be, he said, I would like to see my chart.
Cool.
Because I want to know about myself, what my medical history looks like. And the doctor was like, sure, this is your chart. Here you go.
That's awesome.
And I love that.
And he could read the doctor's handwriting?
I don't know. Maybe not. But
Luckily, most things are electronic
Yes.
nowadays.
so because the doctor was so patient with Cruz, and because he was like, of course, this is your right to see your chart.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
All of us will continue going to see this doctor.
That's your
because
family doctor now.
That is our family doctor, and he will see all of us for as long as he will have us, because he took the time to listen to Cruz, to answer his questions, to give him that dignity, because he is 16. He's his own young man.
Absolutely.
If he wants to ask those questions about why am I so hairy,
Then it's a valid question.
it is a valid question.
Especially
to
when you're
him,
16.
When you're 16, exactly. So I think that when you find somebody that makes you comfortable like that, or makes your loved one comfortable like that, that physician, that hairstylist, they've earned the loyalty of your entire family and the gratitude of your family, because it's so impactful.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's really, most people get into these service professions, whether it's medical, haircuts, what have you, because they want to help people. And I feel like they get really bogged down with the weight of, I have to help everybody that I can all at once, and there's so many different expectations on these providers as well. It's not easy to do what these people do. It's not easy to work with people sometimes. And so getting the opportunity and knowing that he's making that difference in not only Cruz's life, but your whole family, your provider has to, if they don't feel good about themselves, I'm putting it out there, he should.
Yeah.
Because that, it makes a world of a difference for you guys. That changes your whole life when you have that opportunity for him to be dignified and be respected and be empowered. It really...
And no question is
off limits, too
limits.
invasive,
and
too
I
much.
appreciate him for that, because I sit in the room and I'm just,
But you live your best life, buddy.
but I'm just smiling. Go ahead, baby. You keep asking those questions.
Amazing.
I will sit here and try not to laugh out
I'll be on my
loud.
phone. I'm just going to be on my phone.
That
I
is not
love
the
it.
dumb. Whatever the question
Yeah.
is, that is not the dumbest question that
No.
doctor will get
But-
today.
No.
Hey, what is this growth on my back? Should this
Right.
what are these? Is this cancer? Is that
Yeah.
doctors get asked
Oh,
wild questions?
And I love that the doctor keeps a straight face, because I can't. I cannot keep a straight face. I'm looking down. I'm like, oh my God, he just asked him about his hairy body. Okay. And I'm just
Why am I so
looking-
hairy? Ask your father.
I'm just looking away. And the doctor's just straight face. Well, Cruz. so what happens with young men growing, and he gives them
yeah.
the technical.
I was going to say, the it's what he wants to know, but
it's what he wants to know. So, and I'm just like, oh gosh, okay, is that all the questions you're asking today?
Anything else?
What more can you ask? Do I need to leave the room for the next one? But
Amazing.
I love that the doctor
Yeah.
has all the patients and just
Created that space for him.
created that safe space where Cruz feels safe enough to go in there and ask whatever he wants.
Patience is the best way to get patience. Huh?
I like it. I like it.
What would you say to someone who is considering signing up for Practice Without Pressure?
If somebody asked me or was considering signing up for Practice Without Pressure, I would tell them, please do. There's nothing to lose. You're gonna be a part of an amazing community. You're gonna learn how to advocate for your loved one. You're gonna learn how to feel empowered yourself, so that you have tools in your toolbox to support your loved one or even yourself. I just think it's being a part of the Power to Mark family is such a huge blessing. And
Well, I think you can take the first, quite a bit of the course you can preview without making any kind of commitment to signing up, which I think is great. So, log in and see if the format is right for you to learn from.
And if you have the time to dedicate to it, because it is a commitment. It's something that you have to not only commit your time, but your energy, your emotional energy, your physical energy. It's not an easy
it's
thing.
an emotional commitment for sure.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to just dive into. You have to have an understanding of what you're getting into, because a lot of times it's a mindset shift. You're not just taking a course. You are actively integrating what you're learning into every aspect of you or your loved one's life. And so
very charged part of the life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so it's definitely something that is going to require a lot of energy and dedication. And so sometimes, people need time to build that up, but at least get it in your head, start building up the mindset and get to the point where you think that it would be something that you can do for yourself, for your loved one. Really give it a go.
What do you think is the biggest challenge facing people with disabilities going into 2025?
the biggest challenge for individuals with disabilities in 2025, for me, in my humble opinion, would be, I think life is challenging, period.
Yeah.
Whether you have a disability or not, whether you have a loved one in your home with a disability, whether you have a parent with a disability that may live out of the home, life is challenging. Be there for each other, care for each other, be kind to each other, be patient with each other. I think for me, the biggest challenge that I have seen personally is just those stereotypes and the stigmas.
Yeah.
And I've spoken about, my son walking into the room and already you get the whispers and the hush, the little...
The lack of expectation.
The little,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just... Because my son has a disability doesn't mean he doesn't understand what people are saying and what's going on around him. Be kind. It doesn't hurt to be kind. Because one day that may be your loved one.
Absolutely. Maybe you.
Maybe you.
Yeah. You never know.
You never know what life is going to bring to you from one day to the next. So just, I think, a little more compassion.
Yeah.
If we can have more compassion with each other, that, I think, personally for me, is what I've seen as the biggest challenge.
How do you see Practice Without Pressure helping to create a paradigm shift in how care is provided to individuals with disabilities?
The biggest paradigm shift I've seen with Power to Mark is, for me, seeing Cruz being able to walk into a room and use his own voice and talk to his doctor and be given the time and the respect that he deserves when asking questions that are extremely important to him. This is about him. This is about his future. This is about his health and his well-being. And my hope is that other families can have that same treatment when they go in, that same respect, the same patience when they go in and they take their loved one in and they have all the questions that they want to ask, that they're treated the same and given that dignity and the time to respond to their questions, because those are important questions to them.
Awesome.
If someone asked you to summarize the mission and impact of Practice Without Pressure in just 1 or 2 sentences, what would you say?
The mission and vision of Power to Mark and Practice Without Pressure are respect, dignity, and empowerment. The mission is to make sure that individuals can go in and have any type of medical, dental, personal hygiene procedure with dignity and respect, with no sedation, with no restraint. They go in there, they get to ask the questions, they get to be in control of their visits, their treatment, and yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this special episode of the Power to You podcast.